What the f? This movie that I was watching today, it had a great beginning. I was instantly hooked and interested, but it had a bittersweet ending. You know what? The ending was actually shit, and I was left with a bad aftertaste. And then it got me thinking, what if we apply the same principles to IELTS essays? You see, IELTS examiners must be sitting there evaluating essay after essay, and after having evaluated hundreds of essays myself, I can safely say that if your essay has a gripping introduction, the examiner would definitely want to like it. Just like me and that movie. Moreover, if the essay ends in a satisfying way and the examiner is left with a raised eyebrow in the ending, you might just earn some brownie points. Pike. So now we come to the 14,000 rupee question. How can I improve my essay's beginnings and endings? Well, there's something I like to call an opening statement. Like in the movie Rockstar. The viewer is effectively hooked by looking at the character's intensity. 1 minute he's fighting off thugs in the streets of Prague, and the next minute he's being accompanied by his own bodyguards to what seems to be his own concert. And there's a massive crowd cheering for him, and he doesn't even seem to give a shit. Pardon my French. I think that this opening scene was impeccably directed, and it really sets the plot for what promises to be a blockbuster. But as we all know that the guy and the girl don't end up together in the ending, which makes my heart ache. But let's not get carried away. We're not going to repeat this mistake in our essays. Now, we want our essays to have the same kind of opening with some style and grandeur, but we want our essays to have a very satisfying ending as well. Also, we're going to keep it very simple. Why? Because simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. I read that somewhere. So when you're given an essay question, just take a minute to really drink in what the essay is all about. Try to figure out what is the heart of the essay, what is the core of the essay. And then when you figure it out, take that core and see how it applies on a global level. Because your opening statement has to be globally applicable and irrefutable. Allow me to exemplify. Let's do it then. Let's do it then. Now let's do it. So I have an IELTS question that says, some people think that zoos are useless and should be closed down. Others, however, believe that zoos can be useful in protecting wild animals. Okay, now what exactly are zoos? And what exactly happens when you keep animals in captivity in zoos? What happens is that you pluck them from their natural habitats and imprison them, which in my opinion is very unfortunate. So let's make an opening statement regarding this. Now what I have written is that just like mankind, human beings, the wildlife has its natural dwelling, and a zoo cannot fully replicate it. Replicate as in copy. And that's it. Your simple yet effective opening statement is done. And now you get to show off your vocabulary, or what some people like to call lexical resources, in this next part where you have to synonymize the given statement. Now in this case, instead of writing some people, we can simply write some. And instead of think, we can write feel, believe, or reckon. Zoos will remain zoos, no synonym can really be used here. And instead of writing useless, we can write they serve no purpose, because when something is useless, it serves no purpose. The word others will also remain the same, and instead of writing the whole statement, we can simply write others disaccord with this, claiming that zoos act as shelter for wild animals. Since the word protecting is used, we can use the word shelter as a substitute for it. And now the final sentence turns out to be, some reckon that zoos serve no purpose while others disaccord, claiming that they act as shelter for wild animals. And that's it with your paraphrasing. And now finally we write down what the question is demanding from us. In this particular case, the question is explicitly asking you to discuss both the views and give your own opinion. So we would write, I have briefly discussed both of these views along with my opinion in the following paragraphs. I'll just write that down. So our introduction turns out to be, just like mankind, the wildlife has its natural dwelling and a zoo cannot fully replicate it. Some reckon that zoos serve no purpose while others disaccord with this, claiming that they act as shelters for wild animals. I have briefly discussed both of these views along with my opinion in the following paragraphs. Simple and yet effective. Let's change the frame. So when you have nailed your introduction, it is more likely that some of your minor mistakes further on will get neglected. Now I say minor, just like in the movie, there were so many mistakes in the movie, but the promise of quality that was made in the beginning, it really makes you want to look for that quality a little more even further down the movie. So if the opening of your essay is done right, then you're already in the good books of the examiner. And trust me, you want to be there. And believe me when I say that the examiners actually want to like your essays. It makes their jobs so much easier and their lives so much simpler. And now, the final words of your essay, the climax, the conclusion, it has to be done right. Now what I mean by that, it should not be like the movie where the guy and the girl don't end up together and this loose end, it keeps bugging you and it gnaws at your peace of mind. Or maybe it was just me. Nevertheless, you have to make sure that you tie up all the loose ends and make sure that it is a nicely wrapped piece of writing. All the arguments that you've made in the essay must be completely justified, and make sure that you have stated your opinion very coherently so that your essay ends up being as cohesive as possible. Now personally, I tend to agree with the people who think that zoos are not a good idea, but when I would conclude this topic, I would talk about the other point of view first. Now what this does is that it shows your ability to entertain an idea while still disagreeing with it. In short, it makes you seem much more intelligent. For example, some zoos may be effectively ensuring animal safety while imparting sound knowledge about the animals to the visitors. However, I firmly believe that wild animals can only be at the peak of their health and happiness when they are living where they truly belong, in the wild. And I think that this kind of conclusion briefly touches upon both the views while still stating your firm belief. And I feel that upon reading this kind of a conclusion, the examiner is likely to feel more satisfied with your task achievement, provided that you've made some sound arguments in your body paragraphs as well. Now that's all I had to discuss with you all today. I hope I've given you some sort of an insight as to how to attempt the introductions and the conclusions of your essays. Thank you so much for watching and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.